Hey guys, welcome to the season 2 of Girl Up Mukti podcast. We are your host, Tushang Bhardwaj.
And Michelle Singh Olaf.
We are the inner voice that tells your story,
Our story.
So Michelle, are you excited to kickstart this new session of Mukti's podcast?
Absolutely, Toshang. This season will be packed with some amazing and insightful sessions for all of you.
Firstly, sir, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you
So,
for having me here.
yeah. So the first question which I would like to ask you is, what exactly do you understand by the term masculinity?
Masculinity is a social concept, actually. I think that the word masculinity, masculine, macho, these words are a little confusing because they refer to the masculine structure of a human being. But mostly, if we go to the psychological and sociological theories, it is more of a sociological construct, where, according to the classical theory of Connell, the masculinity represents a person's ability to exert control and assert dominance on other humans, which includes men also, actually. And definitely it is related to asserting control on female women. But mostly it is not related to the muscular structure. Perhaps its roots lies in the cultural and ancient texts or representations of a man where, in the past, that was the duty of the man, where the male of the species was supposed to go out and do things like hunting, violent things like hunting, and to exert physically a lot to get food or get the things which can be used as resources later on. From there, I think the concept of masculinity came. But as the time passed, mostly it became a social hierarchy based thing, where more masculine people are supposed to, have a more dominant aura, and an ability to exert control on things, and ability to, use aggression and violence to get things done. So it became more of a sociological construct, and not only was it accepted socially, later on it became prized socially. People started giving more importance to such people who can dominate others, who can, show an aura of forceful domination on others. People started giving value to them. So it became like a more of a hierarchy-based thing. And because most of the people who were exerting this were men, so it became a gender-based thing also. That masculinity means a man who exerts dominance on other people, other men or other females. So that is, it's more of a sociological construct, actually.
So like you mentioned, over the years, the concept has drawn more into the power and more on the oppression.
Yes.
So is there a positive change which we have seen over the years on the very concept of masculinity?
Yeah. Masculinity, even in the recent past,
Yes.
masculinity was more about, your ability to withstand all the problems and get things done by force without expressing a lot of emotions. Actually, people say that the hegemonic masculinity, which was, classified as first kind of masculinity in Connell's theory, it was supposed to be a person who is not expressing emotion. But actually, it is not true. It is a differential emotion expression, where anger expression was okay. The expression of anger as an emotion was in sync, or it was synchronized with the masculine position of the person. Okay, and the emotion of other emotions like pain, frustration, sadness, that was not accepted, or that was not considered to be in sync with the masculine position. But nowadays, we are seeing from a mental health perspective, we have seen a lot of changes where men, they are coming up and they are expressing their frustration, sadness. And there are several factors responsible, I would say. Awareness is rising. Men are understanding the concept of harmony. Men are understanding that it is not the equivalence that they used to have in their mind, that being masculine is equal to not expressing sadness. This equivalence is a false equivalence. They understand because it serves no purpose.
Yes.
As the technology and as the understanding grows and people start using their intellect more and more, their logical abilities, they realize that these are false equivalents.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't have to not express an emotion to be more masculine. So until recent years, not only recent years, actually, even as recent as the studies of 2021, the suicide rates in men was like 4 or 5 times more as compared to women. So it was said that 75% of all the successful suicides or completed suicides were that committed by men.
Yes.
Okay. Bullying, you see at the college level how the bullying is there.
Yes.
Not only in India but in every country, I would say, all the places. Why in high school level and college level the bullying is so rampant? People change after 25, 26 years of age, but in that age the bullying is so rampant. The insatiable desire to have an authority figure, it develops from there only. Okay, and that is why the bully also suffers later on, and the person who has been bullied also suffers later. So they develop different kinds of disorders, and as they start developing into more mature people and the people who take masculinity very, very seriously. Okay, there was a study in 2021 in a small cohort of Australian survivors of suicide, and they found a strong association of the suicidal attempt with the concept of masculinity. Okay, it affects in two ways actually. First is that because masculinity, the more masculine you are, the less expressive
Yes.
and the less acknowledging you are supposed to be of your emotions.
Yeah, you're supposed to hide and control your
Hide,
kind of emotions.
endure, be stoic. Stoicism is a concept in that about the emotions, and this leads to just unexplainable pain that they experience
Yes.
in depressive states. That is one. And the second is also another theory which says that when you are harming yourself, you are actually exerting a dominance and a violence on yourself,
Yes.
where the perpetrator and the person on whom the violence is being exerted is the same. You yourself. So both these factors, they combine together to create a lot of problems in men, especially men's mental health, men's issues in social structure. It creates a lot of problems in them. But luckily things are changing, but not up to the scale at which it should change.
So, like you mentioned about alpha male and this very verbiage which people are using,
Yeah.
that alpha, beta, gamma, every kind of
Yeah.
words they are using. So, don't you think somewhere this very concept is problematic, and
Definitely.
the kind of exposure which people are getting, like you mentioned, 17 to 23 years of age.
Yes.
So, what kind of public which you are getting in as your patients is related to these age groups?
Many people. That was one of the reasons. So, my book on anger management, if you see, which has been endorsed by many police stations also in Bangalore. So, if you see that, one of the things that I have mentioned is this concept that from childhood, how much you are inculcating the habit of being into that state of dominance.
Yes.
Okay, once you, in your core value, in your deepest core value system, if being dominant is equal to being a survivor, if this false equivalence is associated, then you can never be at peace.
Yes.
You are on the road and a rickshawala just crosses you. It is misinterpreted by the mind as a symbol of a gesture of insult.
Yes. How can he go?
How can he go in front of me? I have bigger car. Or I have, I look more, I look more, basically, in every sense.
Yes.
I look more capable, I look more rich, I look more resourceful. How he can cross me and go ahead? Okay. And these are also manifested at several levels, including workplace.
Yes.
You're not able to tolerate simple criticisms, which may be constructive in nature. Okay, so this idea of alpha male, these are all very crude and rudimentary concepts actually. Very rudimentary. Now, in an age where you forget about human beings, in an age where people are scared that robots will take over their job, okay, What dominance you can exert on robots? What dominance you can exert on AI? So as the times are changing, it is highly, it's a need of the moment that people should be able to acknowledge that forceful and aggressive asserting of anything does not have a major role in the society anymore. Maybe once in a while, somewhere you may have to be aggressive about something, and that too should be an instrumental aggression. But continuously being in that state serves no purpose.
Yes.
You are just fooling yourself, saying that I am alpha male. What are you going to do by being alpha male? Nothing you cannot do.
Yes.
You put one finger on someone, you are in jail next day. Now, in this age of CCTV and this age of, in India it is not so much, but if you go to developed countries, the legal systems and the
It is very, very
surveillance systems are so strong, it's impossible to just go and exert your dominance like that. Okay, so all this, we constantly get such cases where anger management is an issue. Okay, and anger management, one of the common reasons is this, that people, men especially, and they don't come also for the therapy until it goes to an extent where you are going to be fired from the job, or you are going to get into a divorce situation in your marital space. Until it goes to that extent, people never visit a psychiatrist or mental health professional.
Yes.
Men, okay, because of this reason, because expression of anger is a part of masculinity. In the differential expression where anger can be expressed, but sadness cannot be expressed, anger is very much accepted as a part of, you being a man.
Yes.
But you lose a job. What is the point of being alpha male then? What can you do with no money and no resources as an alpha male?
Yes.
Nothing.
The kind of communication gap which this creates, alpha male, like you mentioned, marriages. So, like
Marriages, sex therapy cases,
yes,
referred cases from the corporate sectors where they want anger management therapy for someone, or many, legal issues, antisocial cases, crime cases. Many of them, they have got direct, association with this viewpoint that in order to survive properly, or in order to be called a male, both these equivalences are there. Either I have to survive being violent, or I have to be called as a male
yes,
to be, to be surviving in the society. If I'm not that, then my existence is meaningless. Both the thoughts are problematic.
So, particularly in Indian households, this very concept of male dominance and mental well-being is not being addressed properly. And I feel like when the situation is too worse that it might break everything, then people reach out to professionals.
Yes.
So, what is the barrier which is affecting all of this, and why we are still not in that condition where developed countries are still getting better mental health rates rather than our country?
This would be a different topic for discussion. In one of my interviews about couples counseling, I have talked about it. But it's not that developed countries are completely immune to marital conflicts or marital issues.
Yes.
In fact, the divorce rates are
Much higher.
Higher means almost half, 45 to 55%. That is the range of divorce rate in America. So it's not only about developed countries. I would say that multiple factors combined together. Multiple factors. But in India, if you talk about a society which is highly patriarchal in
Yes.
orientation, in India, certain factors are very, very clear. Although it will be oversimplification to say that no, this is only one of the important factors. There are several factors, but definitely one of the factors is that the husbands, the male counterparts, they never come out to seek help.
Yes.
Okay, and when they don't come out, and one of the partners, wife is trying her best to come out and seek help, then it is of no use. One partner, we cannot make a mediation happen with one person. So both the parties are required. But the opposite is also true. Many a times, women, they don't want to come. They have their own, belief systems that, what I'm thinking is correct. And here also, another set of sociologically motivated thinking processes there, although I don't want to go into feminism and all. But women, they also have certain kind of belief system which inhibits the rectification of their mistakes.
Yes.
But there is no doubt that higher numbers are that of men. They are not so comfortable to come out to a mental health professional.
So, sir, like you mentioned, they are not very comfortable. So, what are when they do? What are some of the unique problems which they talk about regarding their mental health?
Are you talking about marital issues or
And general, sir.
no? Men have many mental health issues. In fact, one of the disorders, postpartum depression, which is classically diagnosed as a female
Yes.
depressive state. In one of my interviews, if you read, I have mentioned that men are getting affected equally,
Exactly.
almost equally.
The pressure is on both.
Pressure is on both the parties.
Yes.
Yeah, because now the family structure is nuclear.
Yes.
And if you are thinking that in a nuclear structure only one person will get affected,
It's not the case.
it is unrealistic. So both the parties are getting affected. Men are undergoing depression in postpartum phases. Okay, after delivery, because they have to handle job, they don't get paternity leave. Paternity leave is not a concept here. So they don't get leaves properly and they don't get any relief from their workplace. And in a nuclear family, you get very limited, patchy kind of a support from your family. It's not their mistake. They are not able to do that actually. So men have many issues. You look at work stress. You look at the societal pressure on men to provide for the family. Okay, so it's easy for us to talk about men being all hegemonically masculine, but the other part where the society wants the men to be in that position, that cannot be ignored.
Yes.
Okay, they have to look after the finance. They have to pretend that they will handle everything in the
Exactly.
family. Okay, and they have their own vulnerabilities. People, especially who have been bullied in the childhood, they undergo pain every single second when they face something called as social anxiety disorder, performance anxiety. Men, they are more prone to develop certain kind of psychiatric conditions. If you go into addictions, the chances of men getting into addiction is much more as compared to women. So men have their own set of many psychological problems. If you compare, men and women are almost same, although the prevalence of certain disorders is more in women, but in other way, men are more susceptible to many things. Okay, grief reaction, extended grief reactions. Many a times, a person undergoing grief who has lost someone, he cannot express it, and he just undergoes that grief for a very long time. We call it extended grief, protracted post-traumatic stress disorder, several psychotic reactions. Everything associated with trauma can be found in men. But the nature of trauma may be different in men and women. That is one thing. But luckily now men are they're coming up a little bit more. They're expressing and changes are happening. And the core concept of masculinity is also changing.
Yes.
I would say that it is mostly because of technology. Ironically,
More
I don't
exposure.
think that when people, in ancient times when they would be formulating the concept of masculinity, they would not have thought that it will fade away because of technology.
Yes.
But this is what is happening. Technology is taking over everything.
Yes.
Your knowledge is technology based. You are realizing that most of the things that you are doing as a man can be done by technology.
It's the way you're perceiving things is now getting into a transition.
Things are happening without masculine use, without exerting dominance or anything. Things are happening.
So talking about change. So what about sexuality? How especially men, how they come out about their sexuality.
Yeah.
So that is also a very big issue, which I feel tolls on the mental health.
Yeah. The hegemonic masculinity again, one of the components was hardcore heterosexuality.
Yes.
Okay. Any deviance from the heterosexuality, the usage of words like gay,
Yes.
don't gay it up, or don't be gay about it. These expressions, they indicate that the classical version of masculinity, it did not give space for a person to express any other kind of sexual orientation that he may be having. Okay. And this is one of the major reasons. In adolescent period, when a person is experiencing those kind of changes, where he wants someone to just confide into, he wants someone to just support him, because of the concept of masculinity, he is not able to talk only.
Yes.
And no one is ready to listen also. This is the very big problem in our society, where people, they just don't want to listen to anything which is anything different than what they believe. Okay.
Especially Indian household, when young boys, they want to talk to their mothers about how they are feeling, how they're transitioning, but some of the stereotypes which have been there, and I feel like it is not only their fault, but the way they have been brought up, it was a very patriarchal society, and they did not have that kind of an exposure. So maybe that is somewhere
The problems are very deep rooted.
yes.
Unfortunately, this is the truth. And to change such a deep rooted issue, some time will be required. But as I often say, this acceptance of homosexuality or other forms of sexuality as something legal,
Yes.
that itself took so many years of
Exactly.
fighting cases in Supreme Court. Had they given up, this would never have
And
happened.
same-sex marriage is still not legal.
Still not legal, but
Exactly.
some changes are happening in the
Yes.
law. But it's a very slow process, but that is the essence, that time is one of the forces which changes things, and we have to be continuously in that state of putting effort. We have to continuously keep giving something to the struggle that people are undergoing. We have to support them at a continuous level. Over the course of time, things will change, but it's a very deep-rooted problem.
So,
That
sir,
is
talking about change and health, what about those men who are feeling these kind of problems, who want to seek help, but because of like peer pressure or parental pressure, they are not able to come out.
Yeah.
So, what about those people?
No, now things are a little better,
Yes.
for multiple reasons. Parents have started understanding, or maybe because I'm practicing in Bangalore, this is my perceived, change.
I think Bangalore, Pune, Delhi. These places are still
Some better.
far
Yeah.
better. Yes.
But in addition to that, there are things like, teleconsultation.
Yes.
There are things like support groups, Facebook groups, Telegram groups. All those things are there. They have helped a lot.
Yes.
That is what I'm saying. That all the rigid concepts of masculinity, no one would have imagined that technology and globalization would be the reason to make them go away or to fade away. But this is what is happening.
Yes.
People are getting that kind of information, knowledge. They are recognizing that no, they are not that abnormal. There is no abnormality just because I perceive sexuality in a different way. They are able to understand that.
Yes.
Okay, and they are able to come out. They are able to have anonymous consultations with people, and people who can go, they are actually coming to mental health professionals. Now I'm not sure if it is mandatory or not, but in many colleges there are counselors and mental health setups
Yes.
are there.
There's a proper department.
Some departments are being established. These all have helped, and I think a larger scale version of these same implementations are required. A bigger scale.
So, sir, what are some of the most less discussed issues about mental health, with just not physical, but sexuality or some illness, which talking about periods. Women have periods, but there are some times wherein men also during their puberty they undergo some pains in their scrotum, but many people don't know about it.
Yes.
So what about those aspects which are less known to people?
There are several of such aspects actually. Okay. Anatomically, physiologically, psychologically, a human body undergoes several changes in the puberty and peripubertal age groups. And in some of the cases, actually it is very, very important that they seek consultation.
Yes.
Like conditions like phimosis, paraphimosis. After a child is born, after one period, male especially, they don't expose their genitalia to to many people or to anyone mostly, and they accept that this is normal. But if any issue is there, in the genital region. It may vary from varicocele to phimosis kind of conditions, or the scrotal structure being abnormal. All these things, they should be addressed at that point of time. And I think that it all has to start at least with the basic communication.
Yes.
We are talking about sexuality, but let me tell you that even in cities like Bangalore, I have seen that very fundamental communication is not there in family members,
Yes.
especially in men. One of the reasons is this perceived masculinity. Like, I think you are a boy, boys don't cry, boys don't feel pain, mard ko dard nahi hota, and all these things which are fed up in the mind. So they feel that if I am even a little bit different, how will my masculinity get perceived in the world?
Exactly.
What will my parents think?
Masculinity, and also, sir, sometimes it's in sexual intercourses, like erection and masturbation. These things are also
masturbatory anxiety.
Yes,
Yes. These are, let me tell you, these are like, I don't think that now at this point of time, these things are being discussed in very well-to-do families also. They discuss very simple things. And at least they should be primed. Yes. I think that here the psychoeducation, more than child, it has to be given to parents. Actually.
Exactly.
That is why parental counseling in for adolescent children
is more important.
Is the need of the moment. Okay, where, see, it's very straightforward. If you get a discomfort, a pain, you go and tell that I have a pain. That should be there, that kind of communication between children and parents, irrespective of the source of the pain.
Exactly.
Okay, whether it is sexual frustration related pain, physiological something, pathophysiological in the body, anything. Until that kind of openness comes, I don't think that, and many times it is just misconception. Okay, and they carry this misconception, and after marriage, they get into troubles where they are not able to perform because they are carrying this misconception that I am homosexual. Okay, many times a person may not be, but he carries this misconception.
The root of the concept also is not established.
Not established. There is no sex education. So there are several problems. Lack of communication is number one problem right now. When we talk about this age group, 17 to 23, 24. In that age group, if you are not communicating, if you are not revealing your problems, and it goes untreated, unaddressed, it creates so many problems later. So
sometimes when kids, they try to go to their parents and they do not get a good response, and I think this is the part where things start to go wrong, because then who they have just their friends.
Yes,
and
exactly.
you never know the peer pressure or the kind of atmosphere which these friends make. It might be good, it might be bad, or because they both are on the same level. No one has the right education. So who should be responsible for this?
Parents.
But if not parents, then who?
No, responsibility, the onus lies on parents. There is no doubt there. Okay. If parental direct education is not there, direct communication is not there, then they go to Google also.
Yes.
But the problem is that Google itself is very much polluted.
Yes.
Okay, so there are scientific papers in some websites, and there are just nonsensical garbage filled up almost 70% of the Google about any information that you take. And then there are quacks, scammers, they are ready to take advantage of your vulnerability. Okay, so an adolescent Googling, an adolescent child, cannot have that much expertise to also understand the basics of the research studies and all. So ultimately it's parents only. But if not parents, at least school counselors, okay, or some doctor, any mental health professional, anyone, they should be able to go. But I'm not sure that how much they will be able to do, because see, they are already under so much pressure.
Because sometimes counselors also, as a kid, they also have this, pre-installed fear that this person will judge me, and if I open up to them, they might go to my parents, and then this entire pressure also affects them.
It's very difficult. Whenever that misconception is there, that it is going to affect my social status about something, or my reputation in the class. It's very difficult to talk to someone. You think about yourself. No? You are at workplace and you are very worried, or you are concerned that your boss may think wrong about you if you disclose that you are undergoing depression, taking treatment. Many of the professionals, they don't take it to their HR and to their counselors.
And sir, also in teenage kids, like when they try to open up about their mental health, there is a very bad, understanding of depression and mental illness. When they talk to their parents that, I'm having depression, they think that their child is mentally ill.
Yeah.
And like out of frustration or out of fear of society, they just try to oppress everything and then things go wrong.
Yes. Here there is an additional stigma of psychiatry also, that we have to agree that give all said and done, psychiatry is still stigmatized branch.
Yes.
And people, they come to psychiatrists mostly at the end stage of a condition where something extreme has happened. And it can have devastating consequences. One of my patients actually, the person was not my patient, but the parents, after that child, he committed suicide actually. So he was not getting to a engineering college. His idea was one particular college, and he was not able to get through. And he tried to confide it to his girlfriend. Okay, but he could never speak it to the parents.
Yeah.
This is what I often say. Girlfriend was pushed him. Go to a psychiatrist. He did not go. He did not go because of the idea that men don't cry. This was the core idea that if I go to a psychiatrist, it is just like it's a hit to my masculinity. And that boy, he committed suicide, and now all of the family members are undergoing depression. The biggest onus lies on the father. Father was a medical transcriptionist, so he has some understanding about what is mental health, and he tried to give hints to his father, which he never took seriously. And he just let it go. He just overlooked it. But that is the problem. If something at such an extreme level, if it happens, you will never be able to forgive yourself. We may talk 100 things about how our society is very good with this, that. But the rigid concepts that we have, which can affect a person to such an extent that he is eager to die, rather than undergoing this pain, then we have to again look into ourselves, that are we really that kind of a society which, we think that we are great and everything. And this is a very common experience. Few days back in Lama, in one of the colleges you edit this part actually. Yeah. I think. In one of the engineering college, it happened. Okay, the boy was not able to, he was in some department, but he was not able to study. That was the core idea. And the parents were so much pressurizing him that no, you have to study at any cost. They just overlooked the depressive symptoms. And after he took that extreme step, now they were blaming the administration. Okay, and I would say that administration is also maybe partly responsible, but the biggest onus is on parents, because he confided in them.
Yes. And when he does, they take it as excuse. He doesn't want
But they feel that he is just, what is depression? What is this new age disorder? I've heard many times. Yes. What is this new age disorder? One parent, you will not believe, one parent was asking me, give me proof of his depression. And I asked him, I told him in the same language, see, if someone makes an abusive statement towards you, okay, he gives you a very, very abusive statement, he makes to your face, and you go to police and say that the person has told me like this and I felt very bad, and if the police says that until you show me how you felt bad, I will not register an FIR, how will you feel? The police, who is supposed to give support in this instance, Similarly, parents are supposed to give support in that instance instead of questioning him like a detective or police person. Our job is not to counter question him like a detective
Yes.
or a person in the court of law.
Giving a sign of empathy is what it is.
Yeah, our job is to, first understand, try to understand first, listen to a person. Okay, and he was from kind of an affluent family in Bangalore, but he was talking all sorts of things which makes no sense whatsoever. Give me the proof that he's depressed. He's not going to cry. That person was having suicidal thoughts. I don't know what happened to him later on, but I tried my best to treat him. I tried my best to give explanation to the parents, and all these things are more in this age group.
Yes.
Why? Because they're clueless. They're dependent on you, on your expertise, your knowledge. But you think about it that the idea that one person is going to get support from you, that idea itself gets a hit.
Exactly.
When you just refuse to give him any kind of support, how will he feel? So definitely there is no doubt that the first stage of intervention is at parental level. That is why when we also go to colleges and schools to give any kind of counseling or workshops, to do any workshop there, I often say that please bring the parents. Okay, please let the parents understand this. Teachers will understand, they will try their best, but child cannot be there, not 24 hours.
Yes.
Child is at your home only. And he is clueless. And if we as a society cannot give some basic empathy, some basic understanding,
That right comfort.
some basic comfort
Yes.
to a person who is not having any of these, then what kind of society are we?
Yes.
So that is the problem. Parental
So-
intervention is must.
So, sir, talking about friend circle and workplaces. So, when a student, like talking about 20 years or 21 years old students, so like how do they come up to their friend circle? Like if they are not able to come up to their parents or professors, so their friend circle is what they have. And 2021 age is a kind of age wherein they have just completed the teenage and now they are stepping into adulthood. And there are many changes which they are, undergoing. So how do they improve their social circle in this and be more vocal? Because we often see that, women, they have a much stronger, inner circle wherein they can actually talk freely. If they do not have anyone, they at least have their friends. But same is not the situation with men. So how do they improve on this?
I think that around 21, 22 years of age, people start changing at that time. Okay, they start understanding the realities of life. They start they start seeking for help or seeking idea at least. At least they start Googling and they start, exploring the conflicts that they are having. They start reading and understanding about it. I think 21, 22 years of age, those people who are just out of college, okay, they have a lot of dreams. They want to do a lot. Okay, and just when they enter the job, in the initial few months, it's all hunky-dory. It's all, cakewalk.
Yes.
But then, after a few months, the life starts changing.
Yes.
Okay, their internal frustrations, their interest to, if they are like interested in some particular kind of a work, they are not able to execute there. Those kind of frustrations, what we call role confusions and all, they start coming up. And there may be many sources of frustration. In general, men, they have smaller friend groups. Okay. But this is something which I often say, that you can have different levels of friendships. And it is very important that even if you are an introvert, you should have some people around you with whom you can share at least non-verbal communication.
Exactly.
Eye contact, smile, or simple, single syllable words. Hi, how are you? What's going on? Simple things. And that you will see that when that kind of simple interaction happens, that itself opens many doors at you. This is what I often say, that the most difficult step is the first step.
Yes.
Once you take the first step, the next subsequent steps become very easy. Then you start, when you see that that person is in sync with your, it all starts with non-verbal communication according to me. And then slowly, simple, interactions, formal interactions, then informal interactions, then meetings, parties, get-togethers, all those things will be there. I think that once they get into office setup, they get a good environment to interact at least.
Yes.
Okay, and that is something that they should, be taking proper advantage of. Once you're out of college, your college friends will not be there. You will have to undergo that transition as a professional. But as a professional, you will get a plethora of different kinds of viewpoints from other people. Okay, and the more you interact with people in workspace, more does not mean quantitatively, mostly qualitatively. Just sharing some good moments, some food, some moments together, some jokes, some personal experiences, some inside jokes, and that becomes just a relationship. I think this is very much interacting with others. This is something which has been very much over stigmatized in men's perception, in the male perception. It's a very simple thing, and it's a very much a part of herd behavior which is there in our genetic system. Okay, there are hormones, there are chemicals in the brain, there are neurological systems which are specifically made so that you can socialize, no matter how much introvert you are. Okay, some kind of socialization should always be there. There should be no inhibition in a person to at least smile and share laughter with someone.
Yes.
That opens doors to many different forms of conversation. Most difficult step is the first step.
Exactly. So, sir, we come to an end of our episode, but last thing which I would like to ask is, what is your message to our youth, especially the men, as well as the parents?
Oh, parents, I have many things to say actually, but I'm not sure how much we can penetrate their core belief systems. But yeah, I think targeting youths is equally important. When they get the basic idea that some discomfort is there, some pain is there, they have to understand that the position of a professional health worker, or I'm not talking about only mental health professional, any health professional, our job is to alleviate a suffering.
Yes.
We are not here sitting to judge you. So please come to a professional. Okay, think like this, that if you get a problem in your bike, what will you do? If you get a problem in your TV, in your refrigerator, what will you do? Just like you want to take an expert opinion there, similarly, you should take an expert opinion here and see what is the worst that can happen. You don't like my advice, you don't take it.
Exactly.
Go. We are not forcing anything. But at least you will get a little more of information.
Some spark will happen.
Some spark. It will demystify. It will decatastrophize. It will, it will make the idea of interaction with a health professional a day-to-day thing. That is what we have reached. Okay, you are an adolescent, you are a young adult, you do not have an idea, it's okay. Who has an idea about everything?
Exactly.
We cannot have.
There's always time.
I may be a mental health professional, I may be talking 100 things about mental health, but I don't know anything about artificial intelligence. Tomorrow it can be taking up my job also. But I don't know anything. That's a fact,
Yes.
So similarly, everyone does not know something.
Yes.
Okay. But if I need that help, it is my responsibility to go and seek for the help. And what I often say all the time, and this is what this is what I want people to understand at a very fundamental level, that if there is a friend for you, your nearest friend, it is you yourself.
Yes.
But you means what? You means the logical, the cognitive part of you. Today, what you are doing to your children, okay, if a person comes to you in pain of a fracture, for example, or a kidney problem, heart problem, if you are not giving the same kind of attention to psychological issues or to issues of, not only psychological, psychosexual, physiological issues, if you're not giving attention and you are providing him with unrealistic ideas like hegemonic masculinity or like the triviality of mental health conditions, and tomorrow if something happens to him, you are responsible.
Exactly.
You cannot run away. I've seen so many cases where parents cannot come out of this guilt feeling. And I don't want them to be in this phase. But I've seen far so many cases to tell you clearly that you can protect a child from an extreme outcome, and just like you are ignoring his fracture, just like you are ignoring his cardiac problems, if you are ignoring, similarly, if you are ignoring his mental health problems, then the consequence, the onus of consequence lies on you.
Yes.
Please take care of your children. And children are like the most beautiful things that we can have in this society. They are so pure. Look at children. I mean, they are so innocent, though, so pure from inside. But we put all sort of nonsensical garbage in their mind when they are growing up. And after they have developed into a monster, or after they have ended up into something extremely unacceptable, or they have ended up their lives, for example, after that we say that this person is wrong.
Yes. They blame others.
No, they are blaming suicidal people.
Yes.
That they are weak people.
Yes.
Okay. So, this blame you can do to other person, I can do to other person. But unfortunately, parents will not be able to do it.
Yes.
Deep inside, they will always know that it was a mistake to just ignore the symptoms and the presentations, and it was just a mistake. And what is the cause of this mistake? Your unrealistic way of thinking.
Exactly. Expectations.
You have resources, you have money, you have availability of mental health conditions. It's like you had water and you had food to give to your child when he was hungry, when he was thirsty, and you did not give, and he died because of that.
Yes.
As a parent, I don't know how people can live with that, but for me, though, it is a monstrous act which cannot be called as civilized even at minus level of a scale.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay, it is high time that we realize that these nonsensical thoughts, by unnecessary, unrealistic thoughts, what you are putting into your children's mind, you are damaging them. I would not say irreparably, but my question is, why to damage at all?
Yes.
Why to do such a beautiful life form you have given, you have brought to this world? You let it blossom like a flower. You let it grow. Let it explore the world. Let it be happy. If his happiness is not associated with your happiness, you're not a parent at all. Similarly, his pain should be associated with your pain.
Yes.
You should experience his pain. You should be able to feel his pain up to one extent. So that is my strong message to parents, and I am not at all, apologetic about it. Because I always believe that prevention is better than cure. Prevent the, extreme from happening, and everything is good later.
Yes.
We are just, in the beginning phase, we are worried about it. Later on, they will take care of themselves. What will you do later? Nothing. Your role is that much only.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's about the episode, sir. I hope everyone who is listening to this podcast actually gets to know the things which they should, and somewhere they are neglecting it, and the right ones are always saved.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful to you people. As I told, technology and people like you who are using this technology to make information to go reach people. This is the need of the moment.
Yes.
Okay, you're doing wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're doing wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I hope that it impacts people at a bigger scale.
Yes, sir.
So that's it for today's podcast.
Hope you all enjoyed the show.
But wait, stay tuned for our next episode, which will be out soon. Till then, stay safe and keep calm.
The podcasts are available on your favorite streaming apps, including Spotify and YouTube.